So today we're going to put a little clip together. What we're going to be showing you is a lot of the deadlift variations that we're going to use with our athletes. Now, deadlift's been called the best measure of overall strength, the greatest strength maneuver by a lot of coaches, and this is something I agree with. Deadlift's very simple. You got a bar on the floor, you got to pick it up. I can't think of hardly anything that tests the overall strength of an athlete better than the deadlift. It's going to challenge your entire posterior chain, glutes, hamstrings, lower back, as well as your grip. Grip work's very important for team sport athletes. Everything goes through the hands. It's important to focus on your technique for deadlifts. One thing I really like about the deadlift is since you're lifting the bar from a dead stop, it's really going to build your starting strength, your acceleration, your explosive power. It's for a sprinter coming out of the blocks, any team sport athlete, it's got to accelerate themselves from a dead stop, quickly gain speed. Deadlift's excellent. We typically use the deadlift anywhere from sets of 3 reps to 6 reps. We don't go too high reps with the deadlifts because I find that if you go high reps, the form starts to break down. So instead of doing high reps, we would do more sets of 3 to 6 reps with the deadlift. So in a second, we're going to show you a bunch of these variations. Hope you get something out. So the first variation we're going to do is just conventional deadlift. We're going to make sure we keep the back straight, drive through the heels. Next variation we're going to do is a variation of the sumo deadlift. You're going to see a lot of powerlifters like to do this to decrease the range of motion. We're not going to get our feet out quite as wide. We're just going to get our feet out a little wider. This variation helps a lot of athletes who round their back a lot during conventional deadlift. So next variation we're going to be doing is deficit deadlifts, or deadlifts off a platform. We put 4 rubber mats there, and we're going to stand on them when we deadlift. What that's going to do is going to increase the range of motion, make the exercise more difficult. It's going to be a more advanced variation. Now we're going to do deadlifts against bands. Bands accommodate resistance, increase the difficulty as you go. So what's going to happen is it's going to be lighter at the bottom, more difficult at the top. So now we're going to take a look at the setup and how we set up the bands. So we can zoom in here. You can see we just loop the band around some dumbbells over the top of the bar. But make sure your dumbbells are heavy enough or you lift them right off the ground. You can see we got the red ones, the mini bands. People typically use that for benching. As you get a little stronger, you go up to the heavier bands. You get the black, you get the green. Thicker the band, more resistance. You get more resistance at the top, it's going to be more difficult. You can use more bar weight, less band resistance, or less bar weight, more band resistance, depending on what you want to do. You want to make sure you have your form correct on conventional deadlifts. You want to get the conventional variations out of the way before you start moving up to something a little bit more advanced like that. Okay, so the next variation we're going to show is trap bar deadlifts. Now, trap bar is a great piece of equipment I think anybody training young athletes should have, because the technique for learning the trap bar deadlift is a lot easier than the conventional deadlift with the straight bar. What this helps to do is a lot of athletes just learning the deadlift, keep their back straight or keep their form better. So we're going to show you the trap bar deadlift. You could do this on the platform like we demonstrated, or you could do it with the high handles and the low handles. We're just going to show you one variation. Last one we're going to do, exercise we're going to do, is going to be rack pulls. I think rack pulls are one of the most misunderstood exercises. And we're not going to go into a lot of the variations powerlifters are going to use that for. I'm going to show you the reason that we use it with our athletes. Is we're going to start with the athlete who doesn't have the flexibility, dynamic mobility, to start off with the conventional deadlifts. You see a lot of athletes rounding their back, not using proper form. So we're going to start with the rack pull. You can see the height's just below my knee right here. What that's going to let us do is pull from a better position, pull with good form, and we'll gradually drop the pin height, work that athlete down to the floor until they're pulling full conventional deadlifts. We'll demonstrate a few.